What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is podcast number 5. Today I'm going to be doing it alone, and I know it's a little late than usual, but I'm probably starting to think that we can't really have the podcast whenever we do enjoy, as long as I'm bringing you the news and the everything else at a timely fashion. What's there to lose? But before we jump into today's podcast, I got my notes as per usual. But before we jump into it, what I'm going to get you to do is just hit that like and subscribe button. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. Today we're going to be just briefly touching on the Italy versus Belgium game. Then I'm going to get into a couple Mercato news headlines that hit the airwaves in reports for Juventus. And then lastly, I'm going to touch on a little bit of something coming out of the Juve camp for Roma, for the game against Roma this weekend. But that is also going to be more dug in deeper later on in the week with another podcast that I have coming out. But without further ado, we're going to jump into this. So we're going to start with Italy versus Belgium. I don't know about you guys. I'm happy. I know it's only Nations League. It's weird how my laptop or my tablet keeps on disappearing. I guess the joys of green screening. But anyways, I don't know about you guys. I know Nations League is kind of who cares kind of thing. I'm not going to lie. It's a who cares kind of thing. Italy gets absolutely nothing from it. I think the winning nation only gets something if they finish in first. Doesn't matter if they finish second or third. It's only about bragging rights at that point in time. But the cool thing going into this round of Nations League was two things. Italy was on a 37-game unbeaten streak. And secondly, another opportunity to win another trophy that, I mean, not saluted them. Who cares about Nations League in that case? But just to win another trophy in such a short period of time under Roberto Mancini. But with that being said, we already know about what happened against Spain. So that unbeaten streak and the chance to win that trophy was all for naught. But we headed into this past Sunday's game against Belgium with a chance to win third. I had mentioned in the last podcast, it's probably better to lose semis and win the third place game versus win the semis and then maybe go on and lose that finals, right? So, but I'm sure regardless of how it would have played out, it would have been no sweat off Italy's back because let's be honest, again, it's Nations League, right? So anyways, it is what it is. So just to touch on some things. So, hey, third place win for Italy. Can't go wrong with that. That's pretty amazing, right? So first place in Euro Cup in Mancini's first chance at a trophy. Third place for Nations League in Mancini's second chance for a trophy. Third chance, obviously, coming up at the end of next year with the World Cup. Still got a few more games left of World Cup qualifying to see where we end with that. But again, third place. What does it mean? Absolutely nothing for Italy. Just, hey, I guess third place Nations League. So that's pretty cool. So to just go over the game, just in case you missed it, both teams started off with pretty good intensity. It looked like it meant a lot more to these players than maybe what we think of it. But, I mean, Courtois came out prior to the game saying that he's looking at this as a friendly. So we already know that he was probably mentally out of it. Probably not the best thing. Probably more of a loser's mentality just with how that game against France had gone. So a couple things happened in that first. Aside from the intensity, both teams played really well. Courtois got tested from a distance by Berardi. Salzmakers hit the post shortly after. The best chance of the first half was that beautiful switch by Domenico Berardi that found Chiesa. Chiesa made Courtois work, and he somehow got a toe on it. 0-0 at the break. But 2 minutes into the second half, Nicola Borella ended up connecting on a beautiful volley off of a clearance from, I don't know which head it was for Belgium, but clearance that found his foot. Beautiful time volley, 1-0 Italy. Shortly after that, Batshuayi from Belgium hit the post. Berardi made it 2-0 from the spot and ended 2-1 in the final. Donnarumma was worked but not tested, but what made it 2-1 was Di Ketelare. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, and I probably just made it Italian. But anyways, scored with his 5-0, so it wasn't the most glamorous goal that Donnarumma gave up. But 2-1 final. Just going to touch on my player ratings. I'll be honest, I was kind of in and out in the second half. If you're watching this from outside of Canada, this past weekend was Thanksgiving, so it was kind of hard to really pay a lot of attention with a lot of things going on, getting ready for family dinners and all that kind of stuff. But from what I've seen, these are essentially from what I was able to see. I also missed a little bit of the first half as well. But starting from the back, Gigio Donnarumma, I gave him a 6 out of 10. Again, not tested, but he was working, gave up to what I thought was a pretty easy goal. Di Lorenzo, 7 out of 10. Better game than what he was for against Spain, but did pick up a needless yellow. Acerbi, canceled numerous threats whenever tested, which was nice to see, stepping in for Bonucci or Collini, depending on how you paint that. But definitely was nice to see. Sorry, just give me 1 second. All right. Definitely was nice to see. Let me just set this back up for a quick second. All right. Yeah, so definitely was nice to see. Sorry about that. Just had some technical difficulties with my camera. Bastoni looked really good. We got to see exactly what Inter Milan fans are ranting and raving on when it comes to Bastoni. Showed his true potential for sure. Emerson, another solid game stepping in for Spinazzola. Still not a Spinazzola, but still did good. Did well enough in his absence. Barella, 8 out of 10. Connected on a well-timed volley. Also had a shot earlier that was just over the bar. So looked really good. Locatelli, playing in Torino. Looked like he was at home for Juve, man. He was just unreal. I gave him a 7 out of 10. I don't even know if I gave the ratings from before because I was just kind of shooting through my notes here. But Bastoni was 8 out of 10. Emerson, 7 out of 10. Acerbi, 7 out of 10. Di Lorenzo, 7 out of 10. So did Gigio. Sorry about that. But Locatelli, 7 out of 10. Looked like he resembled his Juve self. What he's looked like since joining Juve. He continued that for Italy and his start, did well retaining possession, and helped Italy push forward in that transition from defense to offense. Pellegrini linked up nicely with Locatelli and the forwards, wasn't given as much freedom as he usually is at Roma for obvious reasons because he doesn't need to really be, but looked really good, gave him a 7 out of 10. Domenico Berardi slotted home that PK, had that nice pass from the right side that found Chiesa. Chiesa himself, I gave him an 8 out of 10. Best chance in the first half was that aforementioned play. Also won the penalty for Italy. That pace up and down that left side, which sometimes is the right. Him and Berardi do so well, and he's essentially given the freedom to roam within that front, comparing, what Pellegrini does at Roma for what Chiesa is able to do at Italy. And he looked awesome. And then Raspadori, he didn't look not really threatening. In my personal opinion, from what I saw, didn't really give his wingers or the midfielders much to work with. He had an opportunity in the first half, but he didn't really make those runs as a number 9 you'd like to see. So, I mean, Italy's search for number 9 continues. So, with that being said, let me just grab my second pair of notes here. With that being said, out of this international break, what we're looking at heading into World Cup qualifying for the next time around is the November 11th, roughly around November 11th. Italy plays on the 12th against Switzerland. So that is a big game because currently, as this video is being taped, as I look into the qualifiers, let's see what's going on. Switzerland is up 3-0 at the half. A win here actually ties them with Italy. And I think the scary thing out of it all is currently they are at +8. They actually need to score another 3 goals and they tie Italy for first place. So that's pretty nasty. So let's try to hope that Switzerland don't score more than 3 goals or Lithuania pop in a couple. But that is it for the Italy roundup. And honestly, I think Italy, I may be making it sound scary about the situation they're in, but I think they should be fine when it comes to World Cup qualifying. But if they beat Switzerland the next round, I think if they win the next 2 games mathematically, they are clinched. But seeding wise, they are not officially a first place team. But I mean, I hate to talk about that stuff because I'm very, very, very superstitious when it comes to that kind of stuff. Anyways, now we're going to switch our focus to Juventus. We are heading back into club matches at the end of this week. So excited for this Sunday's match, Juve versus Roma. I'm going to touch into that later on. But for now, I'm going to get into some Mercato news that has hit the internet airwaves, or I guess the internet waves, however you want to talk about it. So right now, there was reports last week that I had touched on saying that Juve wanted to essentially the contracts they have expiring at the end of this year, they would like to shore those up. And that also included goalkeeper Mattia Perin. But the last couple of days, Juve, a report came out from, let me just see here, from Tutto Sport via Calcio Mercato that Juve has actually shortlisted 3 goalies to step in as backup for Juve heading into next year. Perin has only played 1 game. They won. He gave up 2 goals, but it was against Sampdoria, and they did win. But they may look like they're not trusting him too much. They still trust Wojciech Szczesny fully, which, I mean, I guess, okay, it is what it is. I know Allegri has always favored Wojciech Szczesny, but it's looking like they're going to be taking a different route for backup. So shortlisted, just give me 1 second. The 3 shortlisted goalies are Salvatore Sirigu, Andrea Consigli, and David Ospina. So I'm going to touch on a few of them. So we all know who Salvatore Sirigu is. I mean, he's most well known for his time at Torino. He currently is at Genoa, but spent the last 4 seasons at Torino. Between Torino and PSG, he spent a combined 10 years at both clubs. So he was playing for a pretty good team in PSG. He won a couple Liga 1s with the aforementioned PSG. His best role probably came as backup to Donnarumma after Gianluigi Buffon decided to step away from the international team. He stepped in as Donnarumma's role model, groomer kind of guy. So, I mean, he did well since taking over that role. Donnarumma has since excelled in his role at the national team and worldwide. I mean, picking up that huge move to PSG. He's become probably top, in my mind, the best goalie in the world. You can argue top 3, but obviously did a hell of a job in backing him up at the recent Euros that Italy ended up winning. So he did do a good job at being that support system for Donnarumma. Would he be the same here at Juve? I'm not too sure. He's probably not going to be playing much. Maybe he does lend that shoulder to lean on to Wojciech Szczesny, but I mean the difference between ages. We're not talking about a 21-year-old relying in a 30-something-year-old in Sirigu. We're talking about a 33-year-old and an older Sirigu. So really, does Szczesny listen to Sirigu as Donnarumma did? I'm not too sure, but I mean, if that's the route they go, it would be something to see. Consigli, who's currently at Sassuolo, he's been there since 2014. There's a good relationship with Juve and Sassuolo. I mean, good in the sense that they just recently did business with Locatelli. I know Sassuolo probably didn't end off getting the deal they wanted for Locatelli, or the way it's broken down, but it is what it is. It's how it happens. So does this bode well? Because his contract ends in 2023. Do they re-sign Consigli after? I'm not too sure, but they probably would want to get money just in case they leave. How much they would get from him? Probably not too much, but he'd be pretty good. He's probably the younger of the 3 goalies that have been mentioned as far as shortlisted. So it would be something to see Consigli come over. He's done really well with Sassuolo. I'm not going to lie about that. And then David Ospina, done well with Napoli. Napoli is 6-0 currently in this current Serie A season. Coming over, I mean, he does have the Colombian connection with Quadrado, and honestly, he still starts for the national team. So a lot of experience there. So in the 3 goalies I listed, I would probably say the best route would be a player like David Ospina, who gives you that experience in what he has to Juventus because of experience, again, with Colombia and with how Napoli's been. Sirigu offers that experience as an elder statesman that can help groom or fix Wojciech Szczesny, what ails him. And then Consigli is more of just like that younger-ish guy that if we lose Wojciech Szczesny, we do have a proven starter in Consigli. Who I think they should go after and all that, honestly, is Donnarumma. If Donnarumma doesn't continue to start, you should go after him. But out of these 3, I'd probably say David Ospina is the best bet. But how long does he really cover that position for? Probably not too long, which would then leave us back in that situation of who next. So Moving on. Another huge report out of Il Corriere dello Sport, who reports Mihajlovic could leave Fiorentina in January. We're talking about 2 months from now. With that, this transfer could have affected Morata during the summer because Juve want a number 9. Morata, who's done really well with Juve, is on a loan. We don't know how much Atletico would want to sell him for. Would it be similar to something that Mihajlovic would be going for? If that's the case, you'd probably want to go Mihajlovic route versus Morata. But what that looks like, I'm not too sure in that case. But the report itself states that if Juve were to trigger the 75 million euro release clause, they could actually sacrifice Dejan Kulusevski for Mihajlovic to lessen the blow of that 75 million. What they would get for that, I'm not too sure. But if it lessens the blow and we can get him for January, I say do it. Kulusevski, who I've been hit or miss with, I know whenever I talk about what Juve have at forward, I do stress that they have him because he does. It's youth, right? He's still got to grow. He still has a chance. If they could pull this off with maybe a loan of some sort, which I doubt, but like I would say do it. But maybe Kulusevski is better off somewhere else because he just hasn't got anything started with Juve. Last year, I mean, he scored the first goal of the season last year. Everything was looking up for Kulusevski, but with him, along with a lot of the other players, as the season went down, so did he, and he just hasn't seemed to regain that form. He's kind of the Weston McKennie ilk currently, where they started here and they just continue to dwindle down. So, I mean, if Fiorentina want to do that, if they're interested in Kulusevski, I say do it because then we end up getting one of the most sought after number 9s in the world currently in Mihajlovic. So, yeah, I would love to see that happen. Another report coming out saying that Juventus is in on Bernardo Silva. This is also a rumor that stemmed from when that possible transfer between Ronaldo and Man City. There's rumors of who was Juventus. They didn't want to pay out the full price for Ronaldo, so they were going to look at a player. And Bernardo Silva was talked about as one of those players. Silva has requested to leave Manchester this upcoming summer. He wanted to leave this past summer, but he wants to definitely leave this upcoming summer. Calcio Mercato claimed that the contacts have already been made between Juve and Bernardo Silva. So that's pretty interesting because that definitely wasn't like that before when Ronaldo was on his way out. So the gears are starting to go. With 4 years left on his contract, you know they're going to be asking for a majority of his sum. Transfer market rate, Bernardo Silva at 67 million euros. I'm not too sure if you would be able to fork that over. I know at the time when they were looking at Bernardo Silva earlier, Manchester said that they were okay with a loan at that point in time, but now they're actually confirming a permanent sale. So that means Juve's got to fork up 70 million euros in that case. I know Cherubini would rather do the loan plus obligation. So it's going to be something to see. An English team can afford that more so than an Italian team like Sassuolo, but there's a good chance that it might happen. It might happen. But Bernardo Silva, who can play central attacking mid, central mid, and right wing, offers versatility just in case they somehow can figure out or find out or finally put Dybala in the number 10. Is that what they is that where they go with Bernardo Silva? So he could be a right winger, probably be his best, but I think he does work best as a central attacking midfielder. Another thing to think of, just because nothing's been officially said by Dybala's camps or Juventus, could this also be the replacement for Paulo Dybala? Not 100% sure on that. And last but not least, as far as transfer market news, Donny van de Beek, Juve is ready to open up talks. Apparently, they have made contacts with Donny's agent. This is another center mid that Juve is looking at to bring in for January, as the Stampa claim Juve want that January move. So it's going to be something to see because I think personally it fits perfectly. But the only way this can happen is if Juve can, as they are currently looking to move Aaron Ramsey and Weston McKennie, but they're not working. I mean, I already touched on the whole Ramsey situation. McKinney's just not He's been playing a lot for Juve, I will say, but he's just not in the cards anymore, and I don't think Allegri wants him going forward. So if they can make the move in this with those players off the team this winter, then you bring Donny van de Beek in for the winter. Just add more fuel to our midfield in the revamp that Allegri's trying to do. Just going to touch on some. This is insane. I don't understand how Man United legit they're treating Donny van de Beek this way. He's only made 4 starts for United since coming over and only had 15 appearances off the bench last year, 2020, 2021. And if this is just not a sign that they're trying to get rid of him or they don't like him, or I don't even know, but he's only played 5 minutes this season. How can you do that to a player that was so versatile and so big to the Ajax team of 2 years ago? You buy him and then you don't even play him. I don't know I don't keep in touch with Man United too often. I don't know exactly the way his training sessions are. Maybe as a player, maybe he's not. Maybe his attitude, I'm not too sure. But how do you treat a player like that? That's just pretty downright disrespectful. So would I take Donny van de Beek at Juve? 100% I would. I know I've talked to Leo about this, and he's all for that. And this also gives us another center mid that maybe we can more so play with Locatelli if we move to the 4-2-3-1. Or maybe we can move Locatelli to the right or left mid and make him our center midfielder in a 4-3-3. So, yeah, I guess we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, that's a move that they're looking in for January. And then last but not least, Dybala and Morata look to be coming back for the game against Roma this Sunday. A win could bring this game is pretty huge. A win here could bring Juve 1 point from Roma, and depending on other results, as Juve versus Roma is the final game of the weekend, depending on other results, Juve could, with a win, move into 5th place. So to think that after their start of 0-2-2 to find themselves 4-2-2 and in 5th place, pretty unreal. We go from relegation to that, almost top 4. So that would be pretty insane. I'm not going to touch too much on Juve versus Roma because I will keep that for another podcast later this week. But you know what? That's basically it. I just wanted to make a quick little podcast here. Very, very quick. Don't take too much of your time. Just want to go over some news and notes, talk about the Italian national team. But aside from that, goodbye Azzurri. Buongiorno, come stai Juventus? Forza Juve. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Chris from Juve from the 6, and I will see you in the next podcast.